"25 big boys were built exclusively for the Union Pacific Railroad, the first of which was delivered in December of 1941. The locomotives were 132 feet long and weighed 1.2 million pounds, or 600 tons. Because of their great length, the frames of the big boys were hinged so that they could negotiate curves. There are 7 big boys on public display in various cities around the country. They can be found in St. Louis, Missouri, Dallas, Texas, Omaha, Nebraska, Denver, Colorado, Scranton, Pennsylvania, Green Bay, Wisconsin, and Cheyenne, Wyoming. Big Boy number 4014 was delivered to the Union Pacific in December 1941. The locomotive was retired in December 1961, having traveled 1,031,205 miles in its 20 years of service. Union Pacific reacquired number 4014 from the Rail Giants Museum in Pomona, California in 2013, where 4014 had been on display at the Los Angeles County Fair for all those years. It was relocated back to Cheyenne to begin its multi-year restoration process. It returned to service in May of 2019 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of the Transcontinental Railway's completion. Before arriving in Van Buren, Arkansas, Big Boy made a stop in Houston to pull President Bush Sr.'s 4141 locomotive to its final resting place of display next to the Presidential Library at College Station, Texas. 6 days later, on November 15, Big Boy arrived in Van Buren, Arkansas. Big Boy 4014 was christened in a special ceremony and launched from its restoration building at the historic National Union Pacific Headquarters building in Cheyenne, Wyoming on May 9, 2019, and was present at the Golden Spike 150th Commemoration Ceremony, broadcasted live worldwide on May 10, 2019, from Promontory Point in Utah. Big Boy would then resume the commemoration journey, tracked by GPS along its published route, until its arrival in Van Buren, Arkansas on November 15th. Big Boy would spend the night in Van Buren and resume the journey back to Cheyenne on November the 16th. The Big Boy 4014 18-wheeler you see here carries a recyclable oil and water mixture the boiler uses in lieu of just tap water. That is not hazmat, hence the 0000 placard on the truck. The truck driver handed out 4014 pins to people. I was lucky to get one.
The famous Big Boy locomotive spending the night in Van Buren tonight after taking a tour across the state of Arkansas, making a stop in Ozark first. 5 News reporter Nick Camper got to get a close look at the historic train and tells us what makes this one so special.
The train came rolling in Friday afternoon to Van Buren, and it brought in quite the crowd.
Literally hundreds and hundreds of stops, and every stop is like this. People are just fascinated with the locomotive.
This isn't just any locomotive, it's the Union Pacific number 4014, nicknamed Big Boy. It's one of the world's largest steam locomotives, weighing in at 1.2 million pounds and 133 feet long.
If you see an aerial shot of it, you can, it's so much bigger than the rest of the train. It really is fascinating to watch.
It was first built in 1941. One of just 25. It retired from the tracks 2 decades later in 1961. This rare engine returned to service in May to celebrate the 150th anniversary of the Trans-Pacific Railroad's completion. Today's attraction brought out train enthusiasts from as far as southeast Oklahoma.
I love history and I love trains. We love to travel on trains, and being a part of history and this train coming back into town, that's very special.
For historians and fans of big engines, the stop in Van Buren was the place to be.
It was great to meet so many new people who are also interested in this train, this gigantic machine behind me.
The renovation of this old school engine reminds us all of our industrial power.
It's very rare that you can see a locomotive operating in the year 2019. And when you see a steam locomotive operating, it's not just a little train that's kind of going slow back in the woods somewhere. This is a big, modern, mainline steam locomotive restored with pride by the Union Pacific Railroad.
In Van Buren, covering news where you live. Nick Camper, 5 News.
I'm up and we won't hear me. Yeah. Come on. Please, get a video. Get out of that. That's another great thing. Swing this around and get that. Back to surface probably.
impressive. Wow.
It's got a diesel. It's helping push it.
Okay, that's probably one of the coolest things I've ever done. There's a ton of people here today.
Many people put quarters, dimes, and nickels on the track for Big Boy to squish them into historic souvenirs. More than 1,000 pennies were flattened into razor-thin keepsakes between Drennan Street and the base of Vista Hills. A crowd of more than 5,000 witnessed the historic departure of Big Boy from Van Buren that cold Saturday morning. What about on,
when this will go on tonight, what?
how about on your Facebook
Be on at
page?
6 tonight?
Facebook page?
I'll probably be on at 5 or 6, yeah.
Yeah.
Was today Saturday or Sunday? Saturday.
Saturday.
5 or 6.
So you guys,
Yay, I get to see you, Brian. Once again, I see you on TV. So. Yeah,
Aren't you sick of being on TV? Or what?
no, I love it.
No, he does little documentaries of all
I
kind
do.
of stuff.
I'm the videographer for the VFW. And good to meet you, Cole. All you guys.
Take care.
You guys too.
Hundreds of folks made their way out to Van Buren to check out Union Pacific's Big Boy 4014, the world's only operating big boy steam locomotive. It was neat to see something that's part of American history right here in our little small town of Van Buren. That was really neat. 25 big boy steam locomotives were built in 1941 for the Union Pacific Railroad. After a multi-year restoration, Big Boy 4014 is taking a tour of the Midwest to commemorate the Transcontinental Railroad's 150th anniversary. It was a sight to see and feel. But steam, and just the power of it, you can feel it shaking, you're rumbling your insides of when it comes up, when it starts to take off and stuff like that. When it starts moving, just awesome. Big Boy spent the night in Van Buren before taking off for Sallisaw just after 8 o'clock this morning. The train is scheduled to end up in Coffeyville, Kansas by late afternoon. Reporting in Van Buren, Cole Zimmerman, 4029 News.